A plane carrying ecologists over the heart of Africa suddenly goes out of control.
I had 15 seconds to say I had a good life.
It crashes, leaving 3 men with serious life-threatening injuries. Exposed to the harshest of elements, with little hope of rescue, their only chance of survival is for one of them to walk for help.
I don't want to die.
If he didn't get through, we were all going to die.
At the mercy of the same animals they're trying to save.
I really felt that this was it.
How long can they survive in such a hostile environment?
Can you hear me?
It's early in the morning, and a group of ecologists are about to go on a special charter flight. They'll be flying into one of the remotest parts of Central Africa, the Luano Valley in Zambia. Graham Child from Zimbabwe is leading the team.
I've worked all over the world, but my real love is the central part of Africa. You have fantastic wildlife.
Clive English has flown over from the UK, especially to work with Graham.
The chance to do this work with somebody like Graham was just a real opportunity that nobody would ever turn down.
Come on, the weather's perfect.
Tower, this is Romeo Delta.
That's great. Lovely morning, sun in our eyes, and we're off.
The team has hired pilot Adam Pope, who knows the region well.
It is very spectacular. It's very remote and kind of pristine wilderness. Everyone was quite buzzed up. I don't think Mumba was quite so keen. He'd never flown an airplane before.
Zambian Mumba Chikungu is here to provide the men with local knowledge.
You okay? Yes.
The men are planning to establish a conservation park in the area. And the aim of this morning is to spot large herds of buffalo.
As we flew around, we saw about 6 or 7 elephants.
We were really looking for buffalo. They are usually quite plentiful, but I wasn't finding them.
Okay, take me down. Let's have a look down there.
He said, let's go in and see what we can find.
They're flying towards a wetland area where buffalo might gather. But this means flying in close to a huge escarpment rock face.
We had to get in quite close to this escarpment to be able to have a look at them properly. We were traveling quite fast.
Hold on.
The closer they get to the escarpment, the more turbulent the air becomes.
I noticed that the airplane seemed to be descending.
Then suddenly, the air sucks the plane downwards.
You get these vortexes that come off the ridge, and we'd flown into one of those.
At full throttle, Adam attempts to pull the plane up over the oncoming escarpment to escape the vortex.
I was trying to keep the airplane going at maximum revs to keep the nose up. The stall warning came on. This is bad news. I know this is really bad news. We were in serious trouble.
It seemed like we were not going to get over the top.
Just seconds before impact, Adam manages to bank the plane.
I managed to get the wings level, but we were going down.
Going in! We're going in!
What happened is that we just lost it.
I had about 10 or 15 seconds to say I had a good life. And then we hit.
The plane is shattered on impact. All 4 men are trapped inside the fuselage.
I woke up, and the first thing I knew one had to do with these situations is get out of the aeroplane.
Get out! Get out!
I wasn't really aware of where I was. I must have been somehow aware that the right way out was on my right.
Pilot Adam struggles to free himself from the wreckage. He's in for a shock.
I landed on the wing, but then, there was this huge pain. Shoots through your whole body like an electric shock. And I immediately knew I'd broken my back.
Adam has escaped the burning fuselage, but he's now helpless on the wing, where the fuel for the plane is stored.
Fire!
As fuel leaks closer to the flames,
We still had a significant amount of fuel on board, and I was lying on it.
the smallest drop could ignite the fuel tank, turning the plane and all 4 men into a fireball.
Fire! Get out! Get out!
Mumba scrambles clear, but Clive is still inside the wreckage.
I remember waking up. First thing I saw was Adam lying on the wing. I smelled aviation fuel. I thought I had to get out of here.
Get out! Get out now!
It was hot and it was horrible, and there was just carnage everywhere. There was a very steep slope, and I just rolled down the hill.
The plane is a ticking time bomb, ready to explode with Adam stuck on the wing.
I was scared. I thought, this is not good.
There was flame coming out of the engine. There was a fair amount of fuel leaking from the wing.
Fuel is very, very explosive stuff, and the slightest spark or flame, the whole thing fireballs. The slightest contact and the whole thing will blow. And there was nothing I could do about it.
Miraculously, the fire burns out. The most immediate danger is over.
Clive!
But like Adam, Clive is seriously injured and unable to move.
I just had this terrible pain, as if someone had stuck something into my back. I was just writhing on the ground, looking for a position that would give me some relief.
On impact, Clive's spine was twisted backwards and his vertebrae crushed together. Despite fracturing his back, he's managed to roll 70 feet away from the plane.
I felt a little bit guilty that somehow I'd panicked because of fear of explosion, and just tried to run away from that as fast as I could.
Adam!
Clive has no idea if his colleagues have survived.
I could see the plane, but I couldn't really see any detail. I couldn't see Adam. I could just see the plane from where I was lying.
Adam! Clive! Adam, are you okay? I'm on the wing!
I kept calling to Adam, who just kept asking me if I was all right, and I said, yeah, I'm okay.
So I knew that Clive was alive, but in serious pain.
While Adam and Clive are both injured, Mumba is lucky enough to have survived relatively unscathed. But Graham is still missing.
I couldn't see or hear anything from Graham at all.
Graham!
And I thought he was dead.
Can you hear me?
I mean, I really did think he was dead.
I check on Graham. Mumba, is he okay? Mumba, is he okay?
Graham has taken the full impact of the crash.
Is he okay?
It's his foot. His foot is hanging off.
But he's alive?
Yes, he's breathing.
So that was a huge relief.
Graham is the most severely injured of them all. In shock, he doesn't grasp the full horror of what has happened.
I knew my back was damaged and I knew my feet were damaged, but I didn't realize how bad.
Adrenaline is numbing Graham's pain.
When I looked down, my one foot was badly damaged with my leg bone sticking out. I could see out of one eye a little bit and everything was blooding up very fast.
To add to his misery, Graham can barely hear the other men. His hearing aid has been lost in the crash.
You hurt bad.
I'm afraid I can't feel my legs.
I couldn't move my legs. And then I realized that, I was paralyzed. You're lying there. You're the pilot. You are responsible. These guys are your responsibility. And I was thinking, Graham is in dire straits. He needs help.
We need to make radio contact. We need to contact Lusaka.
Okay.
Remember, you need to switch the radio on.
It's a massive risk. With the plane soaked in fuel, one spark from the radio's electrics could trigger an explosion and kill them all. But it's their only hope.
So we turned the radio on, and you can hear a click.
Mayday. Mayday. Can you hear me? Mayday. Mayday. Can you hear me? Mayday. Mayday, can you hear me? If you're out there, can you hear me?
I was lying on one wing. Graham was lying underneath the other thing. And we would have been fireballed.
Mumba, turn it off. Turn it off now. Now.
I said, this is crazy, you know, we've got electrics flying around and let's turn it off, forget it, it's not going to work.
Their only means of communication is damaged beyond repair. The four men are now stranded in one of the remotest areas of Central Africa, with no idea if anyone even knows that they've crashed.
Would anybody be missing us? Is anybody going to come and look for us? And how would they ever find us in this place?
They now face a new danger. Exposure to the blistering African temperatures, which can rise to over 100 degrees.
The sun just bearing down on you, you couldn't get out of it, you were exposed. It certainly felt as if I was burning.
3 hours since the crash, the intense heat and lack of water is beginning to take its toll on the men.
It was so hot that we all needed water very badly.
Without water, the men will soon begin to suffer extreme dehydration.
You can survive without food for ages and ages, but you can't survive without water for very long.
I wanted Mumba to go into the trees and see if he could find some water. But he didn't want to go into the trees.
You need to find water, okay?
Water.
He was definitely afraid. Almost certainly he was in shock and traumatized.
You need to get some water.
Going in! Going in! Yes!
You're the only one that can move. Please, Mumba.
Okay.
To find water, Mumba must venture alone into the bush. But he knows it's also home to dangerous predators.
He definitely had a strong fear of wild animals, and we were in a game management area where there was a lot of game. I was sort of left in the clearing by myself and sort of listening for him. I was concerned for his welfare.
Eventually, Mumba returns.
I've managed to find a stream.
Excellent, Mumba. Well done.
When Mumba came back and said, look, I've managed to find some water, then that was fantastic. Mumba was the hero of the moment. I mean, he really was.
Oh, that is good. That is so good.
The water brings only temporary relief to the men. As the sun goes down, it's no longer the heat that's the danger. Now it's the African night, where temperatures can rapidly drop close to freezing. Since they'd originally planned to be back by lunch, the men are dressed only in light clothing and are now at serious risk of hypothermia.
The problem with us was that we were completely exposed to the sky. It was quite cold. Graham was a constant source of concern. He was older, and he had this horrific broken leg.
I wasn't sure whether my foot was savable or not.
Graham is at real risk of developing gangrene in his severed foot. And his pain is so severe, he's drifting in and out of consciousness. Mumba lights a fire, but at a safe distance from the fuel-soaked plane. It brings no comfort to Graham or Adam.
What was that?
There were animals around.
My greatest concern was a hyena coming in and smelling my blood. Hyenas like bloody bits of meat to chew.
There were quite a lot of noises.
Clive. There's something out there.
Adam? Adam?
And then it suddenly shot off. It was a long night.
Adam knows that the threat of animals and the brutal temperatures mean the men will not survive for long.
I did feel guilt. I was a pilot, and as a pilot, you are ultimately responsible for the safety of all your passengers.
He must come up with a plan.
I was thinking somehow you've got to get them out of here alive.
Remember? The chances of us being found are very, very remote. No one's coming, no one knows we're here. We need you to go and find help.
I said, look, you know, the survival of a lot of people depends on this.
But Adam...
Please, Mumba. We need help.
It was our question of trying to reassure him that within him he had the ability to go and do this thing, and that he wasn't going to be eaten by a lion or trampled by an elephant.
It's too dangerous. There are animals out there, wild animals.
Mumba, you have to go.
Mumba faces a stark choice: to search for help alone in the dangerous African wilderness, or stay with his colleagues and watch them slowly die.
Adam has asked me to go and look for help. I told him it was too dangerous, but he insisted. I don't know what to do.
Adam wouldn't ask you if he had a choice.
He was very reluctant to go. He was clearly afraid. Definitely he was afraid.
I don't want to die.
You have to be strong.
I said to him, if you don't go, then you'll probably be left sitting here with 3 dead people.
If you go, we have a chance.
Okay.
Get some rest.
I don't know how I'm going to sleep tonight.
It's dawn. The time has come for Mumba to leave. But he has one vital task to complete before he can go. Every drop of water he can collect could be the difference between life and death for his injured colleagues.
We had no radio. There was no other way we could get out. Mumba was really our only hope of getting any salvation.
Thanks, Mumba.
I'm going now.
It's a brave thing you're doing. Good luck, man.
You too.
I wasn't at all sure that he was going to have enough courage to go through with it. I thought that he'd come back again and say that, you know, he just couldn't.
Slowly but surely, he sort of moved out of the clearing and disappeared into the trees.
Adam has directed Mumba to where he believes there's a village.
I thought that if he just followed that stream, he'd find habitation, that there'd be people there.
If Adam is right, Mumba may be able to reach help in a matter of hours.
As every hour went past, I thought, well, this is good. You know, he probably is giving it a crack.
But Mumba is unaware that he's actually heading in the wrong direction, deeper into the African bush and further away from the village. The supply of water Mumba left behind will only last a few hours. Once it runs out, they'll have no means of collecting any more. Without water, it will be a matter of hours before severe dehydration will take its toll. Their survival depends on Mumba.
There was no response for the whole of the day. I was wondering, had he passed out along the way from exhaustion or something like that?
After 5 hours, Mumba has still not returned. The men are on their last few drops of water.
You know, your lips are cracked and sore, and your tongue tends to thicken. Water was absolutely fundamental to our survival.
In these conditions, a healthy person will die within 3 days from dehydration. But having experienced extreme physical trauma, the weakened men are even more vulnerable. It's now only a matter of time before they'll die in the unforgiving African sun.
Well, with Mumba gone, I realized I would have to try and find where the water was. I would have to find a way to move.
But with fractured vertebrae, Clive has been unable to move since the crash.
I really didn't know how I was going to do that. Any kind of movement was very painful. I started to wriggle along the ground and just sort of pushed my way through the vegetation, literally. That was extremely painful.
He doesn't realize that with every movement, he's risking permanent paralysis.
Suddenly, I could hear trickling water. I found a cool, clear spring of absolutely crystal clear water. And I just put my head in there and just drank. It was absolutely magical. Nature was providing us with a real lifeline.
Clive finally reaches Graham. It's the first time he's seen him since the crash, and he's shocked by what he sees.
So that was a pretty emotional moment, actually, to see that he was grinning, you know.
How's it looking?
He clearly had concern for losing his leg. It was shocking to see his leg in that condition. One of his feet had snapped off above the ankle. It was lying on the ground, just attached by tendons. The blood had congealed. It was covered in ants. It looked like liquid tar. I didn't see how anybody could repair that leg.
That bad, huh?
And it must surely have been hurting. He was certainly in pain.
For the first time, Clive is confronted with the true horror of Graham's injuries. Time is running out for the severely injured men. 8 hours since he left for help, and there's still no sign of Mumba. Clive knows that their fate is now in his hands.
I don't think Mumba made it, yeah.
Doesn't look that way. He'd be back by now.
I knew that there was every chance that Mumba might not have got through. I sat with Adam and we discussed the options. I decided that we would have to do something other than rely on Mumba. I could see a ridge, but if I could get up there, I felt I would be able to see what was below us, and maybe if there are any villages.
If Clive can see a village close enough, he could attempt to reach it, despite his fractured back.
I grabbed a pole and then tried to stand. Slowly, I inched my torso into a vertical position.
While he manages to stand, his progress is painfully slow.
Provided I didn't twist or turn or bend forward too quickly, I was okay. Climbing that hill was just really very, very difficult. When I got to the top of the summit, I looked down to the valley floor. There was no settlements. There was absolutely nothing. And a very steep descent to the valley floor, which would have made it extremely difficult to even get down there, let alone across it and find people.
With no village in sight, Clive realizes that in his disabled state, he has no chance of reaching safety.
As I stood on the ridge, I just suddenly was aware that I'd put the silver survival blanket in my top shirt pocket and thought this is a good place to put it. But it wasn't a logical decision. It wasn't something that I thought through, I just did it. I thought, well, somebody would possibly see it. It would increase our chances of being spotted.
36 hours since the crash, and time is running out. The condition of Clive's colleagues is worsening as they face another bitterly cold night.
Adam had physically deteriorated throughout that day. He was very weak. It was a very cold night, and he just seemed to go into uncontrollable shivers.
Adam doesn't know it, but he's now developed pneumonia. His lungs are inflamed and filling with fluid. Without urgent medical care, his lungs could collapse, and then he will slowly die.
I was really concerned that he wouldn't last very long. Watching him shivering like that was very tough.
As Adam weakens, Graham is fighting his own battle for survival.
By then I was beginning to smell a bit because I was beginning to go bad.
What Graham can smell is infection, spreading rapidly through his severed foot. The open wound and exposed tendons are deteriorating with every hour that passes.
I looked down and there were 3 or 4 big black ants chewing away at the bits of meat and tendon and whatnot on the end of my leg. But there wasn't much I could do about it. I couldn't even brush them off.
I'd done a calculation that after another night of cold, I didn't think Adam would survive that.
Graham Child is struggling to stay conscious despite the pain from his severed leg. Pilot Adam Pope is suffering from chronic pneumonia.
Adam was beginning to get a lot weaker. I was beginning to lift his head to assist him with drinking water. It was quite distressing to see him deteriorating the way he was. I was really concerned that with the heat of the day, he would really suffer yet again.
Clive makes a desperate decision. He will attempt to reach safety despite his fractured back. He has no idea whether he's even capable of making it.
I wasn't really sure whether I could do it, but I was absolute agreement that I would rather try to do something like that than just sit there and watch these 2 guys slowly deteriorate. I'd sort of thought about it, but I kind of wanted it to be their idea because leaving them in the plane and walking away from the plane was almost breaking every rule in the book. But I couldn't see any other way, and as it turned out, neither could they.
We'll be waiting for you here.
It was quite an emotional moment.
The men know that this may be their final goodbye.
I'll see you soon, Adam.
All I remember was looking back at the plane. No one there to get them water. No one there to help them with anything they may need. They were just going to lie there, and if I didn't get through, they were just going to die. I just remember looking back, thinking, this is it. I might never see these guys again. That was a tough time, very tough time.
It's a massive gamble. Clive is not sure which direction will even lead him towards a village, or how far he will get in the dense African terrain. With barely a few hours' worth of water, the injured men are now alone and completely at the mercy of the African elements.
As soon as Clive went away, I knew that this was the last act, really. We couldn't survive much longer.
Adam and Clive are now clinging on to life. All they can do is wait and pray for rescue.
There was nothing else we could do. I don't know that we even communicated with each other. We might have shouted to each other once or twice during the day. But that took energy.
We were both completely vulnerable. We were on our own. We couldn't move. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't collect water. And we were vulnerable to any kind of foreign thing. My thought process were on my parents and my brothers to a certain extent, thinking this is not good for them, that, you know, that they must be suffering enormously because of this.
Graham, can you hear that?
Suddenly, this airplane flew out over the top of us, quite high. And it flew out a little distance beyond us.
A search plane is scouring the area. But Adam and Graham know that their plane is obscured by dense vegetation.
And eventually it flew off. We were pretty depressed. We were lying there thinking, that's probably the last chance we've got. I mean, that was a really good chance, and they obviously didn't see us.
Their one chance of rescue is gone. Deep in the wilderness, Clive also hears a plane, but he knows he'll never be spotted.
I walked for the whole day through different kinds of vegetation, crossing gullies. At the top of every ridge, you were convinced that at some point you'd get to the top and you look down and there would be the village that you were waiting for. And of course it wasn't. I began to get more frantic that the next ridge had to be finally the one I was looking for. And when that didn't come, all the insecurities came out. Am I in the right place? Have I gone the wrong way? I just thought, I failed. I haven't got through.
Clive's last ounce of strength deserts him. He can go on no further. As the temperature rises in the midday sun, there's an ominous sign. Vultures.
These birds are opportunist eaters, so, they were circling over something they thought would be good to eat.
Vultures are scavengers that feed off the flesh of dead bodies. They can sense the men are close to death.
Hear something in the distance.
I was very excited. I think the adrenaline was probably pumping as fast then as at any time.
And this helicopter comes flying in from our left.
The silver space blanket that Clive laid out was spotted by a search plane. With no place to land, a helicopter was dispatched to rescue the men. Atoll Freiling, a volunteer rescuer, was in the chopper.
I never forget the pilot saying, "I don't think anyone can survive that." And that's when we saw this hand waving. And I said, no, there's somebody alive down there.
And I said, oh, this is fantastic. The whole surge of positive emotion that goes through you just seeing the helicopter. And a weight went off my shoulders there. God, this is, it was just amazing.
It was just a question now of time, and they'd lift me out.
Mumba finally reached a village, a day after the men were rescued. He later died of an unrelated illness. Completely unaware of the rescue, Clive English spent a night alone in the bush before he was finally rescued. He made a full recovery. Graham Child underwent emergency surgery on his foot. Remarkably, his foot was saved, and today he has full mobility.
When I saw Graham in the oxygen tent, I just could not believe that he still had his foot. It was just extraordinary that he'd sort of come through this the way he had, and he still seemed like somehow he would just survive. And he has. He has.
Adam Pope spent 72 hours paralyzed on the wing of the plane. It took him 5 years to learn to walk again.
When I was rescued, there was a sense of regret that a great adventure was ending. That whole kind of experience was now going to be fragmented and shattered, and you were going back into the real world.